you've ever watched the Despicable Me franchise, you definitely had a lot of fun. But have you ever wondered what it would be like if the characters, including the Minions, existed in real life? We've gathered the people who look most like our favorite characters from Gru's movies for you to check out. So join us for another Cinewave adventure! There's probably no one on Earth who knows the little yellow creatures that serve Gru and doesn't love them, their laughs, and especially their musical performances. For this reason, everyone has probably thought at some point, what would I look like if I dressed up as a Minion? And many people around the world have done just that, and let me tell you, it looks amazing! For example, there's a guy who gathered up no less than 100 Minion fans to dress up as the little yellow creatures and pull off one of the greatest villainous acts of all time, disrupting his brother's date. He gave Minion costumes to all 100 people and armed each of them with gel pellet guns. And all 100 Minions shot tirelessly at the couple, making it an unforgettable date for sure. Honestly, I wish I could have dressed as a Minion and ruined that date too. Does that make me evil for thinking that? Agnes is probably the cutest character in Despicable Me, along with her new little brother, Gru Jr. And just as she is super cute in the animated world, she had to have her adorable counterpart in real life too. That's exactly the case with this little girl, who is simply one of the most perfect versions of Agnes I've ever seen in real life. She even has a unicorn plushie that looks a lot like the one from the animation, just a bit smaller. But this other girl has an even more accurate version of the unicorn plush, and her outfit is almost identical to Agnes's. She definitely looks a lot like Gru and Lucy's former youngest daughter too. The prerequisites to be Agnes are definitely being super cute and loving unicorns, and these two nailed it. And if you, like Agnes, think it would be awesome if one-horned horses existed in the real world, comment below with #Uni. I'd love to see one of these creatures in real life too. Of course, we couldn't leave out our favorite villain from this list. After all, this whole family we adore only exists because of Gru's plans. If I told you that our favorite villain, who dreamed of stealing the moon, also exists in real life, would you believe me? No, we're not kidding. The Minions boss exists, and he was spotted in the New York City subway reading the latest news in the supervillain newspaper. The photo of this person, who is simply identical to Gru, was taken by a Despicable Me fan who was shocked to see that right next to him in the same subway car was none other than the Minions boss in the flesh. I think the AVL car was broken, and our beloved villain had to take the subway home that day. But this isn't the only incredibly close lookalike to Lucy's husband in the real world, because Steve Carell, the man who voices Gru, was on a talk show a few years ago, fully dressed as the main character of the Despicable Me franchise. Seriously, he looked amazing as the girl's father. Even the nose was placed so perfectly it looked real. Not to mention the clothes he was wearing were identical to the world's greatest villain. This is probably the most unbeatable Gru cosplay out there, and with the character's voice, it was simply perfect. Besides the case of the 100 Minions who ruined a date, there are also many children, teenagers, and adults who love to dress up as Gru's servants at costume parties and during Halloween. For instance, there's this entire family who are such big fans of the yellow beings that they all dressed up as Minions, and it turned out really cool. Even one of the little Minions has a freeze ray in hand. Seriously, I want one of those toy guns. Then there's this trio of friends who thought it would be a great idea to not only wear the blue overalls with Gru's symbol, but also to create special hats that make their heads look like the Minions from the animations. Man, I loved this. They are kind of the human versions of Kevin, Stuart, and Bob from the first Minions movie. And then we have this duo of Minions who paid tribute to the thing Minions love most in the world after villainy: bananas. We can see that both the mom and the daughter are really well characterized, and their costumes are simply amazing. The little girl even took the opportunity to be a good Minion and eat her banana. Without a doubt, Vector is the greatest villain in the Despicable Me franchise, not just because he was the first, but also because he's the funniest. In fact, this was proven by a poll we did on our channel, where the dancing villain won by a large margin over his competitors. And exactly for this reason, even though he's Gru's arch nemesis, the character has a huge legion of fans, and many of them look a lot like Mr. Perkins' son. For example, we found this guy who looks just like Vector, with the hair and glasses that make him practically a real-life copy of the villain. Not to mention the orange jumpsuit that is an exact replica of the outfit Gru's arch-nemesis wore in the movie. Additionally, to make everything even more real, we saw that he managed to create a version of the squid gun that the character used in the first Despicable Me movie. And since without Gru we would never have known Vector, we found this image where the two rivals are about to start a duel, old-fashioned style, with the bespectacled villain using his piranha gun and the bald villain using his freeze ray. This cosplay is also really cool because if you look closely, you'll notice that even the character's typical belly is part of the representation. Not to mention that this time the outfit is also tighter, just like Mr. Perkins' son wore when he was in his impenetrable fortress. If I ever find out where to buy this orange jumpsuit, I think I'll get one for myself. Many people have never stopped to think about it, but the truth is that Minions have several different versions. And if you think about it, you'll agree that the most famous one, after the conventional version, is definitely Gru's monstrous servants when they turn purple. When Dr. Nefario created the transformation serum, we saw that besides having their hair grow, the Minions' teeth became even more crooked and protruding, and their arms became so long that they dragged on the ground. And thinking about all this little boy created one of the coolest purple Minions costumes I've ever seen, where he even managed to replicate the long arms of the little beings. Not to mention the completely spiky purple hair that made him look even more like the monstrous version of Gru's servants. Seriously, if I saw this little guy near me, I would definitely run away in fear of getting bitten. But I have to say that the cutest version of a purple Minion is definitely this baby, whose parents had the brilliant idea to dress up for an incredible photo shoot. Even though he has no idea, you can be sure he looks like an almost perfect copy of the purple Minions. Except for the fact that he probably has very few teeth and can't bite anyone, unlike the characters transformed by El Macho in Despicable Me 2. And to prove that not all purple Minions and yellow Minions get along badly, we found these two brothers who decided to dress up each as their favorite version of Gru's servants, and I have to say, they look really cool. Legend has it that those who watch this video and don't subscribe can turn into a purple Minion in real life. I don't know if that's true, but if I were you, I wouldn't take the risk and would subscribe to the channel right now. Just as Gru has a legion of fans who want to look like him, Lucy, his wife, also has many people who resemble her in real life. The ABL agent has very unique characteristics that make her easily distinguishable from the other characters. After all, she's the only main character who is tall and thin, always wears blue clothes, and has red hair. And it was by using all these details that this girl created one of the best Despicable Me cosplays I've ever seen in my life. Besides the almost real version of Lucy, we also found a little girl who made a child version of Gru's wife that turned out really cool. Even the upside-down ABL badge, just like Lucy was wearing when she met Gru the first time. It turned out great. A solid 10 in my book. Besides Agnes, of course, we couldn't forget to mention the real-life versions of both Edith and Margo, the two older sisters. As you will well remember, Margo always wears her glasses and has her hair pulled back. Plus, she always wears a skirt. Edith, the most mischievous of the sisters, always wears pink clothes and has her traditional hat on her head, making her unmistakable. And we found this family that made perfect costumes of the Despicable Me family. Even Agnes is there to represent. These three sisters definitely did justice to the three sisters from the animation because they turned out amazing. Poppy is the newest character in the Illumination franchise, and even though she's been in the animations for a short time, she already has a legion of fans. And we found this image showing what Poppy would look like if she actually existed in the real world, with her wavy red hair and blue eyes. We just don't know if the girl would also have the same knack for being a supervillain as the Gru family's neighbor, just like the character in the movie. Surely in the next Halloween, we'll see many girls dressed as Poppy around. If you see someone who looks like Poppy, ask to take a picture and send it to us later, okay? We're wrapping up this video now, but the fun is just beginning. We've chosen 2 amazing videos that we're sure you'll really enjoy. So watch both and then leave a comment on which one you like the most. And don't forget that we'll see you in your next video. Until then,